To all you hoopers in my comments, to all you coaches in my emails, I get it. You want me to go more in depth with how to teach a specific move and how to add counters and how you go about adding that to an entire workout.
You should make a video talking about the push dribble.
Do you have any idea how long it takes to make these videos? Set up the camera, the audio, do all the editing myself. I'm kidding. I do all this for you guys because I care. Just so dang much. Today, let's build a bag together. After my video from a few weeks back where we talked about creating separation and tension, I mentioned that one of the best ways to do this was to use a move called the push dribble. Unfortunately, I did a very poor job explaining this move and why it's so effective at creating separation, so I figured today would be a perfect opportunity to show you how to add moves to your game and how to practice them for game situations. I'll be using the push dribble as an example, but this will go for any move that you want to add to your game. This way, we get the best of both worlds. I teach you how to do the push dribble and develop a go-to move, and I also get to make up for the poor explanation in the previous video. Everyone wins. So, let's start where most things start. With you watching LeBron James score his fourth LFQ three-pointer in a row, and you sitting at home wondering, why does this move work every time? I need a go-to move like Granddaddy LeBron. First, you need to think about why you even want to add a new move in the first place, and to do that, we're going to do a little self-assessment. For me, this is the fun and creative part of the process where you get to analyze your own game and build it the way you want to. The best way to do this is simply by watching film of yourself and finding out where you're struggling to quickly react to scoring opportunities in your live game situations. If you're just playing for funsies and you just want to wow your friends with cool moves, disregard all this advice that's about to come and go have fun, because that's important too. But if you've ever been in a late game situation, down 2 points with the basketball in your hands, crowd screaming, the defense scrambling, and your brain turning to mush, it pays to have a go-to move. Maybe you're wanting to add a move so you can be more efficient, or possibly to become a more relentless scorer, or simply just to counter a defensive game plan. You need to understand how often the situation is presenting itself to you in a game and if it's worth putting time into. For example, if you're a post player that's only getting to face up 2 or 3 times a game, it's not going to be very beneficial for you to practice your step back three-pointers. Be much more efficient at practicing your elbow catch, rip throughs, or sprinting into pick and rolls, rolling to the basket, catching and finishing, since that's where you're going to get far more opportunities. Practicing your catch and shoot threes might just be something that you practice later on once you start seeing that situation more in games. It's the classic Pareto principle, otherwise known as the 80-20 rule. 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. In other words, if 80% of your scoring comes from just 20% of this little basketball court slice over here, you should spend more time focusing on that 20%. Work smarter, not harder. But also work hard. For a post player, having an extremely efficient drop step or a baby hook is a must and something I highly recommend all players to develop at some point. For a shooter, I would say a shot fake and a jab step are essential tools to expand your game and ability to score consistently, and likely far more efficient since majority of the time you're receiving the ball, it's in the position to catch and shoot. So, when you're identifying potential moves, make sure to keep all of this into consideration. Today though, as promised, we're going to be looking at the push dribble or the hang dribble, which is a very effective move at creating space off of a live dribble. I personally like this move and believe it's one of the best dribble moves to add to your collection for a few reasons. One, it only takes one dribble to set up the move and then one more dribble to go score. Two, it has multiple counters that are also very easy to implement. And three, it's just simple to do. And simple, it's my middle name. Actually, no, it's not. It's Gunther.
Ew.
The basic concept for this move is to force the defense to shift with you so that you can take advantage of their momentum to create scoring opportunities. Again, think back to the rubber band example in our previous video. All you need to do is push the ball out to your side while also covering the ground with your feet. The more space you can cover in one dribble, the more tension you will create between your defender. Generally, you want to cover more space with less steps, not unlimited steps, but we'll get to that later. While you're shifting your feet and the ball is in the air, you want to read the defender and how they are closing out that space. If they back up, you can shoot. If they overplay, you can cross back left, and if they underplay, you can drive right. Ideally, you would master all three of these moves, but to begin with, you only need one. Anytime you're trying to decide if a move is worth adding, it's critical that you think about how the defense will respond to the move and to the counters available to you. In my eyes, the push dribble is far superior than, let's say, a step back, because even if the defense plays it perfectly, you still have a live dribble to bail out at any time or retreat. With a step back, if the defense plays it well enough, you're forced to pick up the ball with nowhere to go. Another thing I like to think about is how many dribbles does a move take you to score. Again, this is where the push dribble thrives. It only takes one dribble to set up the defense and one more dribble to score. So at most, 3 dribbles, which is perfect. Lastly, you want to think about how easy the move is to perform, or basically, how risky is it? The push dribble's one of the least risky dribble moves you can perform, since it gives you plenty of time to read the defense before you have to commit to attacking a gap. If I had to rate the difficulty of the push dribble, it'd be somewhere like eating an entire sleeve of Fig Newtons in one sitting and binge watching a full season of The Boys over the course of a weekend. Name a more iconic duo. Anyways, since we've already decided on the move that we want to add, and we have the context for how it's going to fit into our game and skill set, all that's left to do now is rep it out. For most players, I would recommend starting with your dominant hand, or the direction you'd like to end up shooting the layup. I'm going to assume you're right-handed because left-handed people are evil and
you shouldn't trust them.
The easiest way to rep this out, and this is the method I use for most moves, is to just set up cones for where the primary defender will be. Then, after becoming fairly efficient with that, you can start setting up cones where the help defender will be and begin working on your counters. This is really all you need to focus on to become fairly competent with a move. As you become more confident and begin practicing this in a live game situation, you'll start seeing more scenarios that start happening at a high rate. Maybe you're so efficient at driving to the right and scoring layups, and then the help comes over and now you have a counter for that. The primary defender just starts to back up. That opens up a perfect scenario for you to start working on the next counter, which is just pulling up and shooting the jump shot. That's it. The secret code to adding new moves to your bag. Unlocked. Right here. For free. Without signing up to a yearly subscription. See, basketball can be fun. And cheap. I do want to cover some misconceptions about the push dribble and the hang dribble though. There are trainers out there that will tell you to take as many steps as you can in between dribbles and before you make your next move. But me and Michael Jordan, we're here to tell you to
stop it. Get some help.
Oh, hey MJ. Is it true that you've been chewing on the same piece of spearmint gum for over 30 years? Any hoozles. The reason that most of these moves work in the first place in a live game situation is the rhythm and the pace that you use them with. The push dribble is good when you force the defense to move with you and to have to guess or anticipate because you only take 1 or 2 quick efficient steps. If you take a ton of steps with the ball, you're effectively giving the defense more time to think and more time for the help defense to slide over before making your next move. Once you make a read, be decisive and be explosive. The next thing to pay attention to is just how strictly referees will call carries in the league that you're playing in. If they're extremely lenient, you can get away with a lot of hang time on the hang dribble or a little bit of ball manipulation, basically carrying it, than you could with a strict referee. But this is the exact reason I think it's important to practice fundamentally and efficiently. You can always get less fundamental and more careless with the ball, but it's really hard to revert back the other way if that's not the way you've been practicing. For example, floating the basketball and keeping your hand on top of the ball is critically important, although most social media influencers will tell you that you are actually allowed to put your hand on the side of the ball or carry the ball. Technically, you are allowed, but you are going to run into referees that will call it, so just practice being fundamental first. I promise you, in a real live game situation, you're not going to be able to walk up to a referee after they call a carry and say,
actually, it wasn't a carry. The rulebook states that you can actually take unlimited amount of steps in between each dribble. I even saw it on a TikTok.
Yeah. Old man Carson that's been refereeing for 27 years and just wants to get home so he can watch The Price is Right doesn't care what you saw on social media. Stop trying to get away with being less fundamental and bending the rules every chance you get. The last thing you want to do is be practicing a move for hundreds of hours and then it gets rendered effectively useless in a game because a referee refuses to allow you to get away with a near carry that's technically not a carry. So that's basically it. When you're building out your practice plan, all you need to do is make sure you include some ball handling, some footwork, some shooting, some finishing, and then some portion of it should be spent working on your bag or your go-to moves. Identify specific situations with self-assessment, decide what move will be effective and efficient to add, and then put in the work. You only really need one go-to move and a counter to average around 10 to 12 points per game. Again, I've got practice plan examples over on Patreon and on the website, but hopefully after watching this video, it makes a lot more sense on how you can build your own. The goal here is to teach you how to think and not what to think. If you can understand how I've chosen the specific move and put this specific practice plan together, then I promise you it is far more beneficial than me telling you what move I think you should do without ever seeing you play basketball. Like the old saying goes, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach a man to fish, he'll probably unfriend you on Facebook and never speak to you again because fishing is boring. I'd like to thank our Patreon members. As always, the numbers are going through the roof. I'm really enjoying seeing our little community grow. It's adorable, really. Love you guys, you know that. And to King Butch, we've got another YouTube member. Can you believe that? Yeah, getting quite ridiculous, really. All these people signing up, showing their support for the channel. What do you think this is? You think I enjoy getting new YouTube members? You think I enjoy all this support? It's getting absolutely insane. I won't stand for it, frankly. I can't handle much more of this. I think I might shut down the channel. I shouldn't put up with it. I shouldn't have to put up with it. No creator should. Support and people sign it. You know what? No, we're done here. I'm actually sick of it. I think we're shutting down. We're getting out of here. I can't handle this.